friends, it's Roslyn. So today I wanted to show you something that I get asked about pretty frequently, and that is Bible lettering. So I'm literally going to walk you through the process of what I do anytime I want to write in my Bible. So from this to this. It's pretty simple. It's not that complicated. And the steps I'm going to walk you through are for if you're a beginner, just starting in your lettering journey, or have been doing this a long time. I have listed all of the supplies you'll need down below, but literally it's basically whatever Bible you want to write in, a pencil, an eraser, and Micron pens. Those are a necessity because they won't smudge when you erase them, as long as you let them dry. And that is it, and a sketchbook if you want it. So I'm super excited to take you along on this journey, and without further ado, let's get to it. Okay, so whenever I'm lettering in my Bible, I like to just do it organically, and just as I'm reading, if something sticks out to me, a lot of times I will underline it like I did here. So this is Proverbs 16:24. Pleasant words are honeycomb, sweet to the taste and health to the body. You've likely heard that verse. This is CSB, so it might be a slightly different version than you know, but anyway. So a lot of times I'll just highlight it, and then usually I just go straight and write in here. But if you are not familiar with lettering, I highly recommend that you grab a sketchbook, literally can be a piece of paper, and you practice in here first. So just play with different ways you want to lay it out. So I usually I have a much thinner margin, as you can see in here. So I have to do a very vertical layout, like I practiced in here. And then I realized with Proverbs, the way my Bible, there's just a lot more space in here. So I actually ended up going with a wider sketch than I commonly do. If you can see the difference, this is about double the width, because I can fit it in here because there is a bigger width. So a couple things you need to think about. You need to consider your margin space. So if you don't have a journaling Bible, you'll have even thinner margins than you do here. And so I would take that into consideration whenever you're sketching, whether you want to do, a wider one, as in this case, or again, most of the time I do something thinner. And what's nice about sketching it out is you can see, you can play around with what words you want to highlight. I definitely struggled with this one a little bit because there were so many words. I liked pleasant and words, honeycomb, sweet, health, and body. So basically what I do whenever I'm underlining, I will try to think of, I'm sure there's like an English person would tell you like it's the nouns or whatever, but I'll basically look and try to figure out, okay, out of these words, what's the strongest part of the message I want to convey? So I love pleasant words. I definitely want that to be larger than Ara. Ara, you don't need to know that. Honeycomb, I really like that because it's just a good illustration. Sweet to the taste, and then health to the body. So let me show you a past example. Okay, so you quickly see shout, works, hands, magnificence. So basically you want, at quick glance, what are the things you want to stand out the most, and those are what you're going to want to be larger, bolder, and you can see, and you can play with it. So like here, joy is smaller, but it's bolder. Works and hands are like a medium weight because those to me are more important than and in there. So if that makes sense, like you just kind of want to play with the layout, which again is why I would recommend practicing in a sketchbook just until you feel confident enough to kind of do this free-handed. And even over here. So here's another example. Let's get it in focus. So God, feathers, and refuge. Those are like the biggest parts. So, and again, like I could bold, kind of make it stand out a little more. I haven't obviously penned it in. So that's usually when I sketch things, I'll kind of leave it a little simple. Maybe, you know, I added some feathers so I could see, but I'll add in a lot of the more detail when I go and add in the pen. So anyway, let's go to our example. Let's see, Proverbs 16. Okay, so I have made my sketch, and I will go ahead and leave it open to reference this, just so I can, you know, when I'm putting it in here, I have something to look at. So let's go ahead and do that so I can see it here. So pleasant words. So let's go ahead. And again, you might have to, the reason I always start with a pencil, because sometimes, you know, I might write pleasant and realize, oh snap, I actually wanted pleasant words to fit in there. Actually, I did that quickly, but I actually kind of like it. Pleasant words are a honeycomb. So see, I'm like not adding in here. I added like a thickness. Here I'm not. Let me see. I like honeycomb, sweet to the taste, and health to the body. Okay, so that needs to be a little straighter, but literally super sloppily. You can kind of see I like quickly wrote that in, and I actually kind of liked it at this angle. And sometimes I'll add in, like, my lines aren't super straight, but it doesn't have to be pretty. I mean, it doesn't have to be this perfect sketch. Again, if you are a little worried, you can measure it out. You can even measure in here what your exact margin is. But I've done this enough that I just feel good about just putting it in. And again, the nice thing with a pencil is I'm like, oh, that doesn't look good. So you don't want to, let's see, you don't want to push really hard, you know, to where it's gonna leave an indent on the other side, because obviously even after you erase this, it's hard to erase, but you're still gonna have that indentation. So I would also, in your sketchbook, if you are a heavy-handed writer, I would practice writing softly, you know, and just think of, even if you just do that, just how to write very gently versus, you know. So you can see the difference, you know, writing with a light hand versus writing with a really heavy, where you're just like putting a lot of pressure. That will also help when you are doing this. So anyway, I have my words. I am going to go ahead and clean it up a little bit, just so that when I do with the pen, it just looks really, really good. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and clean it up. You'll see just like a quick version. So I feel pretty good about this layout. And so next up is to go ahead and ink it. So I would highly recommend these pens, the Micron. So what's really nice about these is they are archival, which means they're going to look good consistently, and they also don't bleed through. Now, I will say in this particular Bible, there's just a lot of ghosting anyway because the pages are so thin. A lot of journaling Bibles will have thicker pages, but there's different reasons I chose this specific Bible. It's the She Reads Truth Bible, which I'll link below in case you're interested, but hands down, I absolutely love this Bible. But these pens are really great. Overall, they won't bleed through. So I can show you in my sketchbook. So I just drew that heart to see. Drew through the heart. You can't see it on this side. I mean, I guess you can see it if you go like that. But you're not going to see it like a typical ghosting, like, you know. So that's really nice. And again, these are super thin pages, but highly, highly recommend. There's a bunch of different sizes that you can get. Honestly, you can just get like a kit of them on Amazon to figure out what your favorite is. And it's nice when you are doing lettering. So we have a thick, a medium, thick at the top, medium, and a small. So these are, let's see, 0.8 or 8.3 and 005. So the millimeters are actually over here. So the 3 is my personal favorite, and that's the 35. The 8 is one of the thicker ones. It's a 50. And then this one's really, really thin, and it's a 20 millimeters. So anyway, these are great because, again, the 50 is great if you have like things you want to color in. The 20 is great if you want to do some really, really fine details or something super, super small. But again, for this, I just want kind of something consistent. So I'm just going to use the 3 to letter on this. So let's go ahead and letter it. Okay, so you can literally instantly start erasing it. Just to be sure, I always like to give it a minute just to make sure everything's dry. Again, these pens dry like super quick. So you just want to do that because otherwise the ink that was from something else can smudge. And I found sometimes I go back and forth, but a lot of times it's just easier to go in one motion so you don't accidentally, rip the page like that. Clearly go a little too fast. So I'm going down, up to erase. And so I don't, you can see I wanted in my sketch honeycomb to be a little thicker and health. Because when I erase, if you can see like in this S, it's a little, it took away some of the pen marks. I like to add in like those details after I erase. Since I already have my words down, I don't need to reference the sketch anymore on here. I can just come in and add in the detail. So trying to get, and if you can see, I'm holding this just to keep the paper taut. Just so that I don't rip anything, and especially in this corner where just a little Bible pages are just a little more fragile. All right, so that looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and add in some more detail, come over it with the pen, and then probably add in a few more things, and we'll be finished up. Okay, this I feel like still needs a little something, so I'm going to go ahead and trace over all these letters just to kind of match the thickness, and I am going to go ahead and upgrade to my thicker pen just to kind of make this look a little more cohesive. So see here a little bit, I smudged because I moved too quickly. I realized I didn't trace over the words. But again, it's okay. Like, this is a human piece of art, and I would much rather let this be kind of like a physical sketchbook than get so caught up in the fact that, you know, I didn't spend time in God's Word. I'd rather it be marked up. So that's part of the lettering process, is just knowing that it's not going to be perfect and being okay with that. Obviously, you can do what you can to try to make it look good, but there we go. We're going to make this sweet looks a little weird. And then I did want to add in a couple little flourishes just because I like them. Let's see. Pleasant words. All right. And there we go. So this is the finished product. I'm pretty happy with it. Well, friends, I hope you found that tutorial super helpful and just encouraging to get you started or continue in your Bible lettering journey. If you have any questions, definitely leave them down below. If there's anything else you want me to expand on, happy to make more videos on this. This is something I absolutely love doing and incorporating into my quiet time, and I think it's just so fun to celebrate our creativity and bring it before the Lord. So if you still are feeling a little unsure about lettering in your Bible, I have a totally free resource for you down below just to help you get practicing in your lettering and just a few more extra tips. And again, it's totally free. Just click the link below to download it today. And I think that's it. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more, just give me a thumbs up and go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you guys next time.